I'm wondering what you know of efforts, either, on a personal level or professional level, to encourage the next generations to have not only an interest in Iran and what's going on there, but really how they see their role in staying involved as Iranian Americans.
I really see the next generation very deeply connected with their roots and their identities. In fact, sometimes surprisingly so. I am really surprised sometimes of how deeply Iranian they see themselves, even though they were born here and raised here. Farsi is definitely their second language in our home. I think probably in some of your homes, maybe they speak even better Farsi than my home. But the first one you do really well and you really stick to the Farsi, and then the second one comes and you kind of go, oh, and the third one hardly. So it's a losing battle, unfortunately. But their identity is very much cemented into who they are, and I think I agree that the work will be in their hands in many, many arenas. We are immigrants. We have our own battles to fight and to really try to find who we are and really figure out where do we fall on lots of questions. The next generation who were born here are Americans, and whether they grapple with the question of going back to Iran or not. For example, I know in my family that will not be a question. We will not be going back to Iran. That's not a future that I've raised them with. The future for them is here in America, and who they can be as Iranian-Americans, and what will that identity mean to them. My 17-year-old graduated high school last week. She's going to George Washington University. She wants to study international relations, loves politics, loves Middle East, and that's kind of in her blood. It's in her genes. I don't think she would have had any other option, the poor thing, So we'll see what they do with it. I'm very hopeful. I see our next generation outdoing this generation by leaps and bounds. I'm very hopeful. They're educated, they're engaged, they're committed, and they're very passionate. So they've probably taken the best of what we had to offer as parents and what America's had to offer to them. And they really get it. They don't take things for granted. I really see our children appreciative of the gifts this country's given to us because they're close to us as immigrants, to really see that. But also to know what are the boundless opportunities that they have to go and take advantage of. So I'm very hopeful about our next generation, and I see my own children, and I'm just, my heart jumps out with joy. I'm very, very excited.
What we're going to do is send our girls to Sharon to raise them, because clearly, she's doing something right.
But, maybe on a less personal note, but in the business of academia, obviously we see children and youngsters being interested in Iran. Not only are they overpopulating all these language courses that Dr. Hariri is being burdened with, and we just cannot accommodate the 1,000 enrollments that we have on a yearly basis in Iranian studies. So there's not only these youngsters, around 17 to 20-something who want to learn Persian, and for which we cannot create enough courses and not provide enough resources to accommodate all of them. We see also a huge increase of graduates of Iranian descent and others who are interested in working on the doctoral thesis on Iran, all phases of it, ancient, medieval, modern. And so we are the largest program that we cannot accommodate. So on a given year, we have to reject 30, 40 people applying for doctoral studies here, and who would be qualified if we had more resources. So they are interested. They are hugely interested. We just have the mean to accommodate them. And our purpose obviously is not to instill in them any notion of return or any ideologies, but we would love to educate them. And obviously that is the mean for them to reconnect and become resources that we can rely on for any possible changes, even if they decide to stay here, because they will be very strong allies, even here, as long as they're committed to some extent with affinity emotionally or cerebrally to the country of the ancestors, so to say. So we have huge amount of interest. We are not in need of that, but more resources.
If a little story on this, my brother is married to a Korean, so the next generation of the family is Korean, Iranian, American. And so his wife, who's Korean, took him to an Iranian kindergarten when he was 5 or 4. And the headmistress there asked, "Does your son speak Farsi?" And of course, he hasn't been learning Farsi at home. And so my brother's wife said, "No." And this little kid down there said, "Yek, do, se, char," counting in Farsi. And so, you know, there's something there that's kind of beautiful, and how it gets nurtured is obviously up to the parents.
They don't get to 10, though.